right, we're back for week 8 now of
Coming up, yeah, week 8.
like going into week 8 of the fantasy football season. I guess done 7 weeks. We're halfway there now. 7 of 14 regular season fantasy football weeks. So pretty big week. Last episode was, a bit of a special one. Obviously had a head-to-head matchup. We'll get into how that unfolded, I guess, in a little bit. But yeah, big week for the league, halfway point, and really excited to see where we go from here. It's a big step that we made it this far. So let's get into it. And yeah, first story of the week, I guess, is Tua is back, I guess, and playing football and winning. Dolphins beat the Steelers in his first game back from concussion. Dolphins offense looked significantly better. I do think it was funny that Tua went headfirst into a tackle pretty much immediately into the game, with no regard for his own safety, but ended up being fine. So nice to see that he's good. Hopefully it remains that way and ends up getting the win for the Dolphins.
And now I think they're 3-0 this year with Tua as the starting quarterback, maybe?
Yeah, I'll say when he's starting there.
I don't think they've lost yet with him starting. Good for him. Next story of the week, Geno Smith is confirmed to be better than Russ. Yes. Geno just beat the Chargers, not just beat them, he demolished them. Single-handedly, they were up all game. Geno looked amazing. Kenneth Walker looked great. The whole Seahawks team, they're top of the division right now, which is crazy.
Reek Woolen and I think it was Kobe Bryant too on defense. Two rookie corners there.
And then Russ missing a week this week, first time. Backup arguably played better than how Russ has been playing, but he kept them in that game with the Jets, which if Russ was starting, I don't know if they're in that game the way the Jets are playing. But yeah. Next story of the week, we got 49ers Chiefs. 49ers, obviously, as you guys probably know, traded for McCaffrey this past week. And it just, obviously it's early, but it didn't really pan out and didn't really have too much of an effect in this game, especially against a top contender in the Chiefs, which is why they brought him in. I'm sure they didn't expect McCaffrey would win them this game.
Only a few days after he got traded.
Yeah, he did take a lot of snaps. And
yeah, I was like, he played, got touches. He was pretty much I feel like 50-50 with Jeff Wilson effectively. And, it's just interesting to see. Obviously, they gave up, a few picks to get him, second, third, fourth, and fifth, I think. But is he going to get a Super Bowl? Is that going to be ultimately worth the investment that's winning them a championship? McCaffrey's a great player. We all know he is. But what does that do for the 49ers at the end of the day?
I don't know if it's enough, but I guess we'll see in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
So then, it's getting that upset of the week. This one was shocking to me. I was like, there's no way the Buccaneers lose this week. Literally, McCaffrey was just traded. But they rallied the troops. The Steve Wilkes, the head coach the interim head coach of the Panthers, coached a great game. They
raced Mizzou defensive coordinator turned Carolina Panthers head coach. It's ridiculous.
Nice. But yeah, he coached them to victory. Buccaneers looked awful. I'm not gonna lie. They looked really bad. And a lot of that's on Brady, I'd have to say. But the defense, obviously they let up a few scores. Can't blame them there. That's the opposite of the week. Buccaneers put up 3 points against a not so great Panthers defense.
Young defense, definitely. And one that hasn't, one that you wouldn't expect to do what they just did against the Buccaneers.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the blowouts of the week, we went with first one, I guess, was a few options for this one. The Panthers-Bucks certainly could have been a blowout, but, it was just the biggest upset of the week by far. Went with the Bengals-Falcons for the first one, mainly because the Bengals offense went off. Joe Burrow, over 400 passing yards. I think did he get 5 touchdowns, 4 or 5 touchdowns?
3 or 4 at least. At least.
And I think he said now he broke a record that he had tied with Dan Marino for youngest player to hit that number of 400+ yard passing games. That offense is really starting to look like they're clicking now. The first few weeks of the season, it was iffy, but now we're seeing the Bengals coming into their own. This is the team that made the Super Bowl last year. And if they can maintain this form, the Bengals are going to be right up there in the AFC again. Their offense, as we saw last year, compete with the best of them, might be the best in the league. And, to see Burrow doing what he's doing right now, really, I think it should scare a lot of AFC teams. And then for the blowout, Dak is back and the Cowboys are still winning. The Lions have been disappointing, going from one of the best highest scoring offenses in the league to now, several just dud weeks, consecutively, but Cowboys did well. The running game carried them. Zeke picked up 2 touchdowns and Cowboys, I guess Cooper Rush, nice to have, did well for them, but I think they're going to pretty clearly rely on the running game a bit more, lean into that and, try to carry that with their defense into the postseason, which is working. They're winning games. So
their defense is scary. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, no, it's very problematic, but we didn't have to worry about their defense. We did fantastically this week. The Packers, Aaron Rodgers, who is he? MVP who? Doesn't matter.
MVP who?
I don't care what ballot he makes the Hall of Fame. Taylor Heineke beat him. So by transitive property, we have the better QB.
We have a Hall of Fame QB.
Yes, we have a Hall of Famer now. Crazy pass to Terry McLaurin for a touchdown. I mean, that's just like highlight. Heineke's just a highlight waiting to happen every time he gets onto the field. And Antonio Gibson, the backfield was like relatively good. Gibson got touches, and as a receiver, I think last season what we saw out of McKissick, he was kind of that number 1 passing down back. It seems like as Brian Robinson starts to take more of those, just pure rushing downs, Gibson's going to shift to getting more of the receiving work. And along that, third down work, carries that come along with some of those receiving sets. So nice to see that he'll be included, and, just a good sign to see that our offense is showing the versatility that we were expecting it to show at the start of the season. To see it come through with a win against the Packers is huge.
Definitely. That's a huge win. That could change the season. I mean, obviously we're not going anywhere, but 3-4 with a new QB in there. We got upside. I mean, it's going to give us some momentum. I don't remember who we play next week, but if we could get another win, be back to 500, like playoffs aren't out of the question, which if you told me that a few weeks ago, I would have said no way, but right now I'm kind of surprised by how we're playing.
Yeah. And if Heineke keeps playing well, we just saw Indianapolis bench Matt Ryan for Sam Ehlinger. Obviously, this is a little bit of a different situation, but if Heineke keeps on playing well and wins, who's to say that he doesn't keep the starting job once Carson Wentz is back off the IR? So definitely something to look out for as we go through these next 3 weeks, see if we can keep this momentum going.
Definitely. This is the time. We look at it now.
I'll let you go here. It wasn't very it's not.
Yeah. I mean, it's still not a great game. I was not happy with. I mean, my kicker was my highest scoring player. Let's be real here. 16 points for kicker. Jason Myers won me the game. Hell yeah. He's staying on the roster. I couldn't be more proud. Couldn't be more proud of him. I guess overall on my side, I was very disappointed with Amon-Ra. He is really pissing me off. The 2 weeks I play him, less than 5 points each game after I just traded my number 1 pick for him. Pissing me off. And with the Tony Pollard, Jamal Williams, I had Tony Pollard in my lineup when we did the podcast last week. And then obviously Swift ended up not playing. There's no way I couldn't not play Jamal. But I had a gut feeling Pollard was going to do better, and I was right. And I mean, it could have made a huge difference if Jason Myers didn't clutch up. But Dameon Pierce, he's staying solid. Debo had a down week, one of his worst games this season. Good to have D-Hop back, playing like D-Hop. I'm excited for my team going forward. My bench played well.
Your bench and you got Hubbard now too. I think that was a solid. I was looking at Hubbard. I think Foreman was the first guy who went off waivers. Joel picked up Foreman initially, and I considered picking up Hubbard. I was like, I don't know. Hubbard's second-year player. He was really good out of college. And, I mean, both of them ended up being involved in the game plan, but Hubbard definitely worth the pickup and going forward. That's a great move.
Could be huge. Yeah.
Disappointed this week. If I started literally anyone other than A.J. Dillon in my flex, any of the other options I had, I would have won. Algier finally decided to have a week. Gibson, in spite of Brian Robinson being a starter, did well. And Hunter Renfrow, got a few catches. So really just made a poor choice in starting Dylan, who did terribly against Washington. I guess that's part of the game flow. I don't know. Packers are just a weird offense to me. But yeah, disappointed. We're gonna get into it, but dropping now to 2-5, not what I was looking for, and especially just on such a close game, it's like disappointing. My running backs did what they were supposed to. Evans and Kirk did what they were supposed to, but again, it just comes down to Kyle Pitts not being anywhere close to the value I drafted him, and then not having a consistent flex or not making the right choices there. So disappointed, but definitely, pressure's on me now. You got to win. You're up now. I am really feeling it this week, and we'll get into the standings. I
thank God it wasn't me falling down. Yeah, so let's take a quick look at the league-wide scores. As you can see, I took down Anthony. Matt Cohen defeated Alex.
Yeah,
it's a big win. Adwin lost to Yusuke. Yusuke moving up the standings from the bottom. Congrats. Sammie staying dominant, obviously,
as he has been.
And then Matt Cohen taking down Ian.
Yeah, so as we get into the standings from this, as we see, Sammie still undefeated, 7-0. He's having a crazy season. I feel like this is, last year Joel held the same role, undefeated. I think he might, I don't even know if he lost in the regular season. Maybe lost one regular season.
I think he lost one to you. Lost one to you.
Yeah. Crazy regular season so far for Sammie, and
he's a playoff lock.
I was like playoff lock at this point. It doesn't look like, I don't know who's going to beat him in the regular season. Like at this point, it's no evidence to say that he doesn't just carry on and stay undefeated.
Crazy part, one thing about that, Sammie, I would say his receivers are his high point, and he has Diggs and Cups. They both didn't play this week, and he still won. That says enough right there.
He's got it. Alex up to second place and with the most points in the league now. So up after being on the show, obviously, some correlation there. Ian still in third, or down to third now, but tied, obviously. You see Joel, both Matt's now at 3 and 4, Adwin and now Jacob up to 3 and 4 as well. So 4 teams in the mix for that or tied, I guess, for that last playoff spot with the same record. And unfortunately for me, with that loss and with just the low scoring performance back-to-back weeks, my team has been in the 70s. I'm not the lowest scoring team in the league, but Yusuke has jumped ahead of me in points. So I am last place for the time being. Very unhappy about this. I don't think my team is the worst team in the league, but I'm just not putting up points, and it's, just really small, crucial decisions with my flexes, and, Kyle Pitts, again, like just not doing what I've expected him to do. That's put me in this position. So obviously I'm only a game back of the playoff spots. It's a lot of 3 and 4 teams. So the season's not over, but definitely an important week next week for me.
Definitely will be big. Yeah.
All right. So now we're at the middle of the season. Like I said, it's gone through 7 weeks and there are 14 regular season weeks. So we decided we're going to recap some of the things that have happened in the season so far, just give a few superlatives to a few things, and really just, I guess, take a step back, review what we've been doing, and, I guess, give ourselves a little bit of outlook for how we're going to move forward for the next 7 weeks of the season. So with that, best draft picks is the first superlative, and I'll let you take that away.
Awesome. Yeah. So biggest steal of the draft by a mile. I wish I did this with my 15th round pick, Joe Burrow. I don't know how we let him fall that far, to be honest, but he's looking like the guy who just won the Super Bowl, as we just mentioned, or lost in the Super Bowl, but still took his team to the Super Bowl. He's just been dominating these last 3 weeks, and they don't look like they're going to slow down. That offense is back in rhythm. Joe Burrow went from like 10th in position rank a few weeks ago to now 3rd, which is kind of scary. And so he's on Sammie's team. Sammie already has Lamar. Having Lamar and Joe Burrow, that just puts him in
crazy
positioning,
And just for reference, other 15th round picks in our league, Julio Jones, I guess not a bad.
Well, but he hasn't played since week 1.
Isaiah Likely, was picked, backup Baltimore tight end. This was pretty much all defenses and kickers. All defenses and kickers, then Julio, likely Kenny Golladay. I don't know what he's done this season. And then Joe Burrow, who's been the third-ranked quarterback. So obviously,
Sammie.
There.
And then Miles Sanders. Do you want to get into that?
Yeah, so Ian, 8th round, picked up Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders was a bit of an iffy one. He's just had some injury issues. Offense has been iffy. There wasn't really, I know Kenneth Gainwell got some good reps last season, so there wasn't necessarily clarity on how it was going to run, how their backfield was going to work. But Sanders has looked the part of like a back end RB1, 100%, like really good RB2 if you have him. And Ian's had him as a flex so far this season. So great value for him. He's been the 14th ranked running back, averaging 14 points a game. Like, you can't go wrong with that at all to have him at his flex and to get him in the 8th round. Some players that went around him, Devin Singletary, Kareem Hunt. You got D-Hop in the 8th. So, pretty solid value pick there. Cordell Patterson.
But considering you lose 6 weeks, it bounces out.
Yes, it ended up being solid, but Rashad Penny went right before Miles Sanders. Darnell Mooney went before Miles Sanders. So, really good value for Ian to get him in the 8th round. And he started for him most every week. So phenomenal pickup.
Probably will continue to.
Yeah.
Biggest bust. I'll start this one off because as you guys can see, Cam Akers, he's probably on my team. He's on my team. He has pissed me off so much this season. I have definitely thought about cutting him, but 3rd overall pick, you can't cut that type of guy. Especially with considering that he was on the top offense in the league last year. Like, it's just shocking to me that now he wants to trade.
Good in the postseason last year when he came back, like to come back when he did from the Achilles injury, it's not like it seemed like this season he was going to be poised for like a breakout year.
And now he wants to trade.
Yeah. So.
If I just had him as he was supposed to be my solid RB2. And now I don't have an RB2. He's costing me single-handedly. I have no trade value whatsoever either. Like, literally, probably Henderson has more value than him.
Honestly, yeah.
It's frustrating. I'm pretty done with him. I would essentially trade him for anything. Worst pick in the draft for me, by far.
Yeah, and then 4th round, the other bust of this draft so far, J.K. Dobbins. To Matt L, he picked him around after exactly 10 picks after you picked Akers in the same position in the 4th round. In theory, maybe not a bad pick, but Dobbins has only played 4 games this season, and he had one good game where he picked up 2 touchdowns, picked up 20 points. Outside of that, he's been hurt or not very useful so far. So for Matt, not really the best pick. In theory, that could have been really good for him, really supplemented his team, but instead he's just had to deal with Dobbins either being on his IR or not actually playing. So it doesn't work out for him. And just some players picked around that range, the 3 to 4 round range. We saw Aaron Jones go in the 3rd round above Cam Akers slightly. Javonte Williams, T. Higgins, Zeke, AJ Brown, Travis Etienne, Josh Jacobs. So a lot of players. I picked, unfortunately, I say, could have been a bust, honestly. I picked Kyle Pitts at the end of the 4th, right? A few picks after J.K. Dobbins. So really,
that could definitely could be on there, but I would say Akers is a bit worse.
Yes, it's the same level. Pitts has at least been on the field and is a tight end, so it's like a bit less value there anyway at the position in general. But definitely those 3rd, 4th round. It's a lot of iffy picks for us.
It's a crucial pick there. I know those are mess that up.
Those are the picks that make or break your season, and we're starting to get to the point where we're really seeing some teams getting broken by these picks. Unfortunate to see.
Yeah. Best waiver pickups. We'll go into mine first. Jamal Williams, pretty straightforward guy. If you look at this a few weeks ago, easily best waiver pickup of the year. He was poaching touchdowns from Swift. Swift got hurt. And then Jamal Williams was dropping 20 a game for a couple games. He's still ranked number 15 in the league, which is pretty good for running backs. And I mean, I think he's still a solid guy I can hang on to. Like, I mean, he's probably not start worthy anymore in the RB2 slot, but maybe a flex play, especially if Swift continues to stay hurt. And he has trade value. I mean, way more than Akers. It still might not be much, but way more than Akers.
He's worth something for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a couple offers for him actually, but probably won't even do it. But I mean, look, if you're getting offers for a waiver wire pickup, that's a good sign.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Hopefully, Lions offense picks it up, but I would say it's probably one of the best pickups of the year so far.
Yeah, and then our other best waiver pickup goes to Alex for another commander who's had a bit of a resurgent season so far, and Curtis Samuel. He started off the week really hot, and did great. I forget how many points. I'm trying to pull up how many points he got exactly week 1, but he started off the year doing crazy. Yeah, 15, 19, and 9 were his first 3 weeks. Slowed down a little bit, but picked up 9 points week 5, 10 points last week. He's showing pretty consistent volume in targets and carries. I think he's a versatile weapon in this offense. And as this offense continues to run and, progress, he's shown that he's going to be getting attention in some way. Alex was able to get him up off of the waivers early, and just as a flex at the minimum, maybe a wide receiver in a pinch. It's a really, really solid receiver. He's ranked at wide receiver 24. To get someone who's in that like 20 to 35, 40 range off waivers that early in the season, and to be able to hold on to him, super good value. You think about some of the picks we made, didn't end up getting that far. So there's like, I guess later in the draft, it's like I picked Jameson Williams, I picked Hunter Renfrow, I picked Jahan Dotson. Samuel's been better than all of them, and he got him off waivers. So great value for him. Ended up working out well.
Definitely. And yeah, now we got the midseason MVPs that we chose. We just came off Alex winning one of the best pickups of the year, and as you can see here, he won both the midseason MVPs. He has arguably the 2 best players in fantasy right now, in Josh Allen, QB1, and Austin Eckler, RB1. Josh Allen, nobody's surprised here. I mean, 4th round pick, getting that kind of value with a QB pick. We all should have been taking Josh Allen 3rd, 4th round, rather than Akers, Pitts, say whatever else. I wish I had Josh Allen instead of him. Josh Allen's just, I don't even know what to say about him. He's looked like everything like he's supposed to look. The Bills offense is arguably the best offense in the league. Best defense in the league on that team, so they're getting the ball as quick as possible. Yeah. And I would say the one downside to him is they're blowing teams out every game, and they start running the ball. But he's still position rank 1, averaging 28 a game. Can't be complaining.
He's running threat too, which is such a big thing. In fact, if you have a quarterback who can pick up, consistent yards on the ground in fantasy, just to get that extra 4 to 5 points a game, if that's what you're getting, is huge. And he does that every week, and a touchdown depending on the week. So
yeah.
And then second MVP also to Alex, who's just, this is, I hate to say it, but Alex's team is built pretty well. It's built solid. He's done some good management. Got to give a shout out to him so far. He has Austin Eckler, who was his 1st round pick and has really just shown his full potential this season. I feel like Eckler I don't know if he's ever been finished a season as fantasy RB1, but he's been
last year.
Yes, I know he's been close. There've been stretches of the season where he's clearly the best guy, but kind of injuries or maybe the flow of the offense has disrupted that for him. This season hasn't been the case. He's consistently involved in the receiving game, as he always has been, and on the ground is, he's their primary ball carrier. He's a big part of what they're doing. He's getting into the red zone, getting touches, and Eckler's just been great. Over 20 points a game. That's, clear RB1. I think that's kind of enough said. And you look at those 2 players combined for him, he's getting almost 50 a game out of his top 2 players.
That's unreal.
I dropped 78 last week. He's getting a good amount of that just off of these 2 players. that's huge to have for his team. So shout out to Alex for that. We'll see if these players can keep it up throughout the season. If they can, it's definitely going to be big for him. And another thing to note, he plays, I guess we'll get into it. He plays Sammie next week. So a big matchup. Alex does have Eckler on bye. So
that hurts a
bit.
bit.
Unfortunate for him. That hurts him. But big matchup next week. If his team can pull through and beat Sammie, maybe a bit of a,
you could be the U of last year.
Exactly. I'd say it could be a little bit of foreshadowing heading into the playoffs. Maybe Alex's team is the one that has what it takes to beat Sammie, especially with these two high-end players on his team. Like, these are the guys who are going to win you championships, guys who can go off and have performances like these two have been having this season.
Definitely. Couldn't agree more.
And then, yeah, I guess we were just mentioned Sammie. He's 7-0. So we
Still a
got,
threat.
you say 7-0. We haven't had him on, but we got to talk about him. The team's crazy and it's not losing. So it's a problem for the league right now.
I agree. I mean, and he just got Isaiah Pacheco. That's another huge pickup. He's got Patterson on IR. I didn't even realize that. I mean, running backs, I would say, are his weakness. And he has Josh Jacobs still, James Conner. Like,
yeah, I said running backs are only his weakness because of injury. If he had really, I think the McCaffrey trade could really hurt him. I think that the McCaffrey trade is really like a blessing. It puts a ceiling on his running backs because
definitely,
I mean, there's no telling what Mitchell is like when he comes back. But if he were to have that number one running back too, with Josh Jacobs, Patterson there,
and James Conner,
if he's able to pick between
four
those
solid starters
for you, two of those as running backs, he has another two plus Deontay Johnson he can pick for his flex, and then you have Kupp and Diggs starting. It's crazy. Like, and then we already mentioned Burrow before. Burrow and Lamar, the 3 and 4 quarterback. I mean, it's been insane. Njoku, I think, was another Njoku. I'll double. Yeah, so he might have gotten Njoku off waivers.
He did, and
yeah,
but, I mean, he is out a few weeks now, so I mean, he is more beatable now than ever.
Yes,
but I still think it's gonna be a tough game to win if you're Alex, especially without Eckler.
Alex, the bye week is gonna be difficult for him, but it's big to see. Obviously, looking forward to seeing how this week goes. All right, and then postseason preview. I guess just a quick look at the bracket. We're gonna keep this in the season, or we're gonna keep this in the episodes for the rest of this season. But just wanted to give a quick look at how the playoffs are looking right now. Sammie and Alex with the buys. The 3-6 matchup is going to be Ian and Matt C. 4-5 matchup is Joel. Oh, wait.
Joel and Matt L.
It's okay. Matt L is supposed to be one of those. They're two Matt C's. They have this. I guess Matt C is 3. Matt
L is 3 and 4.
Okay, so Matt L is the 5 seed. Cohen is but those are okay. The records. It doesn't.
They're both 3 and 4.
Cohen and they're both playing there.
They're both Matts and they're both 3 and 4. Yes. That's all you need to know.
The losers bracket is what we are concerned about, and it's way less fun. Bottom of the barrel against Yusuke right now, and then you obviously matched up with Adwin. Hopefully, neither one of us finishes off the season in this predicament, but you gotta believe that this is how it's looking right now, and it's kind of embarrassing, honestly. It's like we've been doing this for 7 weeks, and I don't know what I'm talking about because I'm last place in the league. So,
I mean, we have solid teams. It will turn around. Let's get it. Let's take a look at our teams. Let's take a look at this season going forward. I'll start with mine. I love my team. I think I have a solid sleeper team. I mean, Dameon Pierce, solid RB1. I think Tony Pollard. I still need to get another running back. I'm not gonna lie. I've been trying to trade. I think I can get one. I have the assets definitely with all my receivers. I have 2 receivers I'm not playing that can be easily starting on almost any other team in the league. I think running back depth is a little weak. I think if Akers was freaking playing, this wouldn't be a problem. I like my team. I think quarterback's a problem, and I think running back's a problem. If I could trade some of my depth on my bench, get a solid running back, like just any kind of starting caliber running back to put in over Pollard, and be able to put in either a Godwin or like a Amon-Ra, whoever I keep from the trade, in a flex, I would be set. I would be so confident in my team.
That's the one thing I'll say about this season in comparison to some is just the waivers have not been as fruitful this year. There haven't been as many injuries or like kind of changes in backfields that have really, shaken up the league. I feel like every year there's always a guy or two who really throws everyone off, and
each week usually I feel like.
And then it allows you like give you someone who you could throw in and pick up off waivers and who could fill that role for you. But this season, it's been a lot more difficult to do that. So teams have just kind of been stuck in the same place. But yeah, your team's looking solid. Ertz at tight end too. You got a number 4 tight end. Like having a tight end that elite, it's a pretty big deal. I feel like tight end's an interesting position this year. And then obviously, I mean, Jason Myers, he won you the matchup last week, so you're doing something right.
Kicker 3. Keep in mind. He's going to be on my team going forward for the foreseeable future. We just signed him to a long-term contract. Very excited about him.
Franchise tag.
Oh, yeah. Enough with my team. I say we get into yours, Anthony.
Yeah, so my team is a lot less optimistic. I don't know. I wouldn't say less optimistic, just I don't know. I don't know where we go from here. I think, I made the move to bring in Derrick Henry, have Chubb and Henry as my quarterback or as my running back, sorry. And I like those two as my RB1 and 2.
Top 10 running backs you take?
Yes,
that's arguably the 2 best in the league.
Nothing wrong with that. Mike Evans and Christian Kirk, week to week, have not been the greatest. I mean, on paper, to have 2 top 15 wide receivers, pretty solid, but week to week just haven't really been what I need them to be. Higbee's back in my starting lineup this week. He was a waiver pickup for me. He's been pretty solid, much better and consistent than Kyle Pitts. He's been effectively the number 2 receiving target in that Rams offense so far this year. So I don't have any complaints about him, and I feel solid and positive about him as my starter going forward. Last week was his bye, so injury permitting, I should be good to just like start him and forget about it for the rest of this season. Definitely going to look to push Kyle Pitts out a bit more aggressively, maybe even drop him, honestly, if I can't find anything. Like, he's not going to do anything for me at this point. And yeah, Algier, I don't know. I mean, between Henderson and Algier, Antonio Gibson, I need to, just find some consistency at that flex spot. And, someone who can get me at least like 7-8 points a week. Like, that's all I really need out of that spot. And if everyone else does what they do out of my team, like pretty consistent, like I feel like I should be able to pick up a win or 2, like in the next few weeks, and then, go from there. But I need consistency out of that flex. That's the biggest matchup for me, or that's the biggest position for me by far. Missing Marcus Brown too. That's like really hurting my team. I think if I had, I mean, obviously no telling what he would have looked like with DeAndre Hopkins back in the offense, but he was top 10 receiver up until, I mean, higher ranked than that. This is a week removed from his injury and him not playing, but really high ranked receiver. He was doing great. And now I'm missing him indefinitely. Seems like he might come back this season, but no real indication of when. And then obviously no clue how he's going to look in the offense. So I don't really know where to go from here. Not sure if I'm going to make any more trades or anything, but just I don't know, weird spot for my team right now.
I would say your team is solid starting wise. I think it's just your flex spot that needs improvement. And if you had Brown, that's solid team on paper. I mean, it really hurt. That injury really hurt. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just week to week has been a weird. It's just been a weird fantasy season. I feel like a lot of teams that are like a lot of teams on paper. I feel like a lot of teams in our league look good on paper. Like no one's team is too far and away bad, but the performances are just not matching it at all, which I guess is just how fantasy goes. But this season, I don't know. It's felt a little bit iffy. Maybe I'm just saying that because I'm last place. So I don't know. But
yeah, let's take a look at our matchups for this week real quick. Yeah. So I play Joel here this week. Thank God he doesn't have Mahomes. He's on bye. I will be most of my main players are playing this week, which I'm very happy about. Getting no key buys, projected to win by 15. I'm loving my team, as I just mentioned. I don't see, unless like his players all start going off, like Dalvin Cook and Mixon, I think I should be fine.
Yeah, it definitely depends on whoever I don't know who the QBs are on waivers, but I guess
there aren't many.
puts in there. He doesn't have one on his bench, so it's going to have to be someone he picks up, and that could go a lot of different ways. So we'll see. But yeah, this looks like a good matchup for you this week, especially with the Mahomes spot.
Definitely.
And then for me this week, going up against Ian, obviously Chief bye weeks affecting this matchup as well. He's not going to have Kelsey or his kicker, Harrison Butker. The kicker is kind of like a wash. He'll just pick one up off of waivers. But Kelsey, he doesn't have another tight end on the roster, so that's going to be another waiver guy for him. Feeling good about this matchup. I think this is definitely winnable for me, and definitely one that if I want to have a shot of making the playoffs, I have to win. But McCaffrey with a full week of practice, that kind of scares me. Saquon has been really good this year. DK, I don't think is going to play this week, so he's probably going to have to find another receiver. So maybe that works in my favor. So a few guys he's going to have to replace, but I don't know. I really need my team to come through this week and pick up a big win against Ian. That'll move me up to 3-5. Hopefully put me, keep me within one game or, tied with one of the playoff spots and, just keep me within striking distance as we enter these final 7 weeks of the season.
Yeah, I would say your team does have some good matchups this week. So hopefully a few players can go off there.
That's what we're hoping for sure.
Once again, thank you all for joining us this week. We appreciate it. We hope you keep listening, keep tuning in. We'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us.
See you.